Welcome, everyone. Charles and Martina here to episode 38 of the Ambassador of Light podcast, the last in this year. Time for us to look back on what happened in 2025 and give you an outlook on what's coming in 2026. Charles, let's start with one of the main issues integrating fractured parts.
Yes.
On a personal level, on the level of Mother Earth, on the level of our solar system, the galaxy, up to the first triangle of creation. What comes
Yes.
to you?
A lot of changes, a lot of new information was introduced, and tools were given to us to help us as a group. The book you published, The 12 Strands on Diamond DNA, was a very impactful opportunity for everyone to select tools to help them upgrade their DNA. There was a lot of work in that as people started looking into their ego chambers and continued to break contracts. We had a lot of conversations with that. The co-teachers and energy workers continued to work with the Shambala Unity Council to cleanse different places and go to many places to remove dark energies that has beclouded even structures, institutions, even places of worship, centers where people were congregating, and the dark forces were taking the energies and using it. All those were cleaned. The cosmic communication system was strengthened within our Earth, and several centers were opened up for access to people to go and speak directly with the divine through their soul. Many other lessons within the Namas University that we had introduced students to tools, how to use the portals. As you see, some of the portals behind me, and in the many portals that the divine, the cosmic mother, and others produced for our use and for everyone in the world to make use of. So it was a lot of work, too many for me alone to recall. So Martina, I'll ask you to see some more that you recall.
Let's take a different perspective. To me, the most striking thing is to fundamentally wrap your head around the fact that we are multidimensional beings, that we have a soul that's guiding us. We are an incarnated aspect. And through the soul, we are connected to the up to date divine plan of the light. So, if that soul connection is clear and stable, we have tapped into the up to date divine plan for us and for the planet, which means we don't need anyone else to tell us what to do, when, and how. This alone, to me, is a major breakthrough. Secondly, is the huge amount of beings, kingdoms we introduced,
Yes.
who are equal to us and who are here to interact with us and teach us, to really revitalize the planet we live on. It's in a very dire state. We all recognize that. And instead of fighting with each other what to do, where and when, why not accept the guidance of those who know best? Amaya, our Mother Earth, the plant and mineral kingdom, the mermaids.
Yeah.
There is so much available, and we don't have to argue with anyone on what is best. If we know what's our part in the divine plan through the soul connection, we get all we need for us to do. The biggest step in healing to most, I believe, is spiritual seekers, I'm talking here, is to get out of their isolation. Many are highly interested in that field, not for years, but for decades. They keep quiet about it because they have the experience. The area around me, the people around me, family and friends, that's a no-no. I can't talk about that. I won't be understood. And that now we have a community forming of people who are serious about their studies, who have met us, come to teachings like in Marymount, have paid visits to Aachen, met the Namas team in Aachen, even now came to see the portals that are on display from various Namas artists. That's a pretty cool development, I should say.
It is. So, and the same line as our work is to integrate energy shadows and also counter some negative forces. Not all parts of the integration has gone as we would have wished. So some places we have to say no, light is going to reign, and some spirits, some beings were not ready for light at this time and sought to obstruct the advancement of the work that the earth is doing. For example, we talked about the three-eye atlas in last episode. There are also human beings who are not quite ready for full integration, and that work poses some challenges as well.
I believe it looks like we are talking two different things. When we're communicating here on the AOL podcast about the advancement of the light, and then people turn around and see what's going on in the 3D world,
Yes.
people might say, well, how does that fit?
Yeah.
For two reasons. Light expands here slowly. Like in every student, have you really taken enough measures to let go of habits that you developed whilst you were still living in a dark environment? What have you kind of automated reactions, like blaming others, not taking responsibility, staying below what you are actually capable of? There are many, many things. And then we have to see that the dark forces were the ones who have established some 250 years ago this modern industrialized using up of people and planet.
Yeah.
To turn that around without making it a disaster. In disaster, you can make it easy. If upstairs would let the financial industry that is built on debt collapse, even the countries most countries are heavily indebted. If that system would collapse, then we would make vast progress, but in chaos,
In chaos.
in aggression, in fear. That's not what it's wanted. So the
No.
dismantling of structures that are non-exclusive, far away from unity, exploiting, that takes time. And we can take an active role in that. We can decide actively, like I did a number of years ago, I'm not taking any advisory or board of directors position anymore in a company that is purely out there to make money.
Yeah.
So we have a choice. But as every real choice, it comes at a cost.
Yeah.
And we must be willing to pay the price.
Yes. So, Martina, would be interesting also for our listeners to know that the changes we had was not just amongst us. Even the Shambala Unity Council was, changing is changing as well. Within the last 12 months, the council has gone to the social memory complex where every member of this council now has to have one mind so that there are no hidden surprises that come out and people would not have disparate agendas. So there's a collective consciousness within the Shambhala Unity Council, the integration of the Galactic Federation, inclusion of the human representatives, and opening up the meetings to all human souls that are interested in knowing what is going on at Shambhala. Could you say something more about that?
Yeah, I mean, we have, due to the 12-strand sun diamond DNA, if we master these abilities of telepathic communication and teleportation, each human being, each incarnate who's connected to the soul can just walk in the auditorium of the Shambala Unity Council meetings. And if you do that consciously, what you see is similar to what is going on Earth.
Yeah.
They strive with group consciousness to do things together. Now, interestingly enough, for the last 12,000 years on Earth, they couldn't do that. They couldn't also do that in the galaxy.
Yeah.
So how do they now know, okay, that's basically the up-to-date divine plan for Earth. Each kingdom has a role in this, but there are overlappings. How do they solve the point where they overlap and don't agree? And that's true for them. When you sit in and watch and listen, they have to make an effort as well. And sometimes they succeed and sometimes they don't. They are in a learning curve as well, which is another big lesson that we have to take seriously.
Yes.
Higher dimensional beings have struggles of their own. They're not perfect. They don't know everything. They have their own quirks like we do. Just the fact that we are an incarnate of a soul that is in the 9th dimension and higher doesn't say anything that we are lesser than them.
Yeah.
So if we make the mistake to put them on a pedestal, we hinder our own development. They never asked for that.
Yeah, and they try to stay away because that's actually a negative energy towards them. And as they are also growing and working as we are working, it is good to show love, appreciation, patience as well, and consideration.
Yes.
Yes. So, Martina, we'll begin to talk about how we are transitioning with our training and our studying. We know that we have done the podcast and AoL, podcast longer than the AoL, and we've reached many listeners, which we are very happy about. Also, the Discord group conversations, the Nature Station experience, the Arkin experience, and now the Atelier and the Portals opportunity. But things are changing, and going into 2026, we're going to be more structured to help those who are really interested in working with these 12 strands on diamond DNA to begin to focus on giving them tools and help so that they too can connect their soul family.
Well, Upstairs realized that our biggest constraint is time, especially for the incarnates in the team. There are things like we need some sleep. There are things like traveling, taking care of ever larger number of people who are interested. And they've made a decision that we agreed with. And that is going forward, we focus on those who are not just listening or hopping on and off to get information. The focus of teaching as of 2026 will be with the students who are serious. On the other hand, we have the challenge that we know students that are in Down Under and others are on the west coast of North America, which is a 19-hour time gap.
Yeah.
So us continuing with study groups the way we did, that doesn't work anymore. Secondly, the ones who take their spiritual development seriously, whether with us or with someone else, do themselves a favor if they truly commit to a path. And honestly, listening to a podcast of Namas University lesson in the car for 20 or 30 minutes doesn't really get you anywhere. So we will focus all our energies on a website that is currently updated, where all the activities we do come together. So there will still be the AOL podcast and the lessons free of charge for everyone. But then on the website, we build an international community in multiple languages that can exchange through the website, not in study groups that come together and struggle with time zones, but also active courses, video tutorials to get deeper, really deeper into specific subjects. People will find a basic curriculum that you will need to master in order to achieve full soul connection. Then there is the next step. If you're fully soul connected and you know what you are here for, then you know your speciality where you want to study deeper. For example, when your role would be to help with the trees or with the plants or with the water beings to connect and work out things together, your studies will be more focused. It's like putting a master on top of a bachelor. Yeah. But the bachelor will be the same for everyone. Yeah. We are working our butt off to get that ready. And I'm doing my very best to have the English version of the Chronicles of SANAT KUMARA Volume 4 out on the 21st of December.
Good, good.
And a warning here, you will find many things you didn't dream that existed. So you will go through a huge reality check. And that is needed for you to take a decision. Am I now a serious student, or I'm just listening or hopping on and off? Okay. We'll do our best to provide after the general studies focus. So there will be Namas University, which is a university where you study. But there are also the Namas healers who, in a group approach, help healing where needed. There's the 8 Namas artists who provide you with portals specific to your needs. Then there is a group starting to form, which will be called Namas scientists, where people with a scientific background approach science more holistically and share their results. So there's a lot going on. Charles and I, we have committed to travel as well. So if you are somewhere in the world and you want to invite us to speak in front of a local audience, which you will bring together, we'll be happy to take up the invitation and come and meet people locally.
Yes, a lot of positive changes are on its way beginning January 2026, and we're looking forward to supporting everyone and meeting their needs the best that we can. So the tools will be available. The website will be the gateway into the work that we do within the Namas University. We want to wish everyone a very good holiday season and strengthened and ready to actually step physically into that 5D consciousness next year. Thank you, everyone, for your time this year. Looking forward to working with you again next year.
Thanks also from my side. Be well. Be well as a multidimensional being. We are very much looking forward to moving forward together with you in 2026. See you then. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
For fly.